The desert night was still, the moon casting long silver shadows across the tarmac. Major Elena Cross leaned against the hull of the MH-60 Black Hawk, her eyes tracing the distant mountains where past missions had ended in fire and silence. Every creak of the aircraft whispered memories she tried to bury, friends lost, mistakes that haunted her like ghosts. It was 0200 hours, the air tense and electric with anticipation. Her unit was preparing for a covert insertion deep behind enemy lines, the kind of mission that demanded more than skill, it demanded nerve. Elena's hand brushed the controls absent-mindedly, as if checking whether she herself could still handle the weight of responsibility. Her thoughts were interrupted by a chuckle over the radio. "Major Cross, what's your position?" a Delta colonel asked, joking, testing the tension in the room. Before she could respond, the line went dead, replaced by a sharp voice of authority, "That's enough. Everyone stand down. Eyes forward." The Joint Special Ops Chief had spoken, and the joke evaporated into the cold night. The mission, she realized, was no longer just about the enemy, it was about proving herself against the ghosts she carried. For more gripping stories of heroism and courage, hit subscribe to State's Heroic Stories. We bring real-life bravery to life. The Black Hawk's rotors cut through the night air, each vibration reverberating through Elena's chest. Below, desert sand stretched endlessly, hiding threats in shadows. Every instrument glowed like a heartbeat, a reminder that the machine and pilot were inseparable in the chaos ahead. The mission was clear: insert the team, gather intel, and exfil without leaving a trace. Simple in theory, but Elena knew better. She remembered the last operation, the firefight in the mountains, the teammate she couldn't save. Guilt gnawed at her, each memory a shadow clinging to her mind as the helicopter climbed into turbulent winds. A sudden ping on the radar. Elena's pulse quickened. Mechanical warnings flared, hydraulics fluctuated. The storm approaching wasn't just in the sky, it was inside her, a swirl of fear and memory. She pushed forward, balancing technical precision with the emotional weight she carried. Lightning split the horizon, illuminating the desolate landscape. The radio crackled and went silent. The crew's voices disappeared into static. Alone in the cockpit, Elena felt the full gravity of her choices. Each decision could mean life or death, mission success or failure. The storm grew violent, the aircraft pitching and shaking with the rage of nature itself. Elena's hands danced over controls, her mind alternating between calm focus and the haunting echoes of past failures. Isolation wrapped around her like a heavy blanket, the desert, the storm, the ghosts, everything demanding that she rise or fall. In the eerie quiet between gusts, Elena's thoughts returned to her last mission. Sergeant Hayes, his hand reaching for help she couldn't provide. Her hesitation, her fear, the crushing guilt. For years, she carried that moment as a silent burden. "This is on me," she whispered. The radio was silent, only the hum of the aircraft responded. Survival wasn't just controlling the Black Hawk, it was about confronting her own fear, her own regrets, and acting despite them. A choice crystallized: surrender to guilt, or rise and lead. Heart synchronized with engine hum, Elena gripped the controls tighter, finding clarity in the chaos. Redemption wasn't about changing the past, it was about protecting the lives she still could. The room had gone quiet. What started as a routine briefing had taken a sharp turn the moment Colonel Jason Thorne, the seasoned Delta officer known for his deadpan humor, leaned back in his chair and asked, "So, what exactly is your position here, Lieutenant?" His tone carried that familiar half-joke, half-test that had kept junior officers on their toes for years. Most would have brushed it off. Most, but not her. Lieutenant Commander Elena Vargas, the intelligence officer who had just returned from a grueling 72-hour recon mission, didn't flinch. She looked Thorne squarely in the eyes, her voice steady, "I'm the one making sure no one dies because of what they think they know." There was a brief pause. The other officers exchanged subtle glances, unsure whether to laugh or nervously nod. Thorne, for all his swagger, seemed caught off guard. Before anyone could respond, the door swung open, and Joint Special Operations Command Chief, General Marcus Keaton, entered. The energy in the room shifted instantly. Keaton had a reputation for cutting through bravado like a scalpel. "That's enough," he said, his voice low but carrying the weight of absolute authority. Every chuckle, every sarcastic remark, every casual smirk died the moment he spoke. "We're not here to play games. If you can't respect the chain of command, or your colleagues, then you're in the wrong room." Vargas felt a ripple of relief. Keaton's intervention had redirected the tension, but it also marked a subtle shift in the hierarchy of respect. No longer was she just the officer carrying out orders, she was a professional whose competence demanded recognition. Thorne leaned back, a faint smirk tugging at his lips, not mocking, but acknowledging the unspoken truth. She had earned her position in that room, not by rank or tenure, but by skill, courage, and clarity under pressure. The briefing resumed, but the atmosphere had transformed. Officers who had been casual or even dismissive were now listening intently, aware that the lieutenant's insight was not just valuable, it was indispensable. Her reports were precise, her analysis meticulous, and every recommendation she made carried the weight of someone who had been in the field, under fire, and emerged unscathed. By the time the meeting concluded, the message was unmistakable: respect was no longer assumed, it was earned. And in the high-stakes world of special operations, where a single mistake could cost lives, Elena Vargas had demonstrated that she was not just competent, she was critical. Even Thorne, in his signature dry tone, muttered as they left the room, "Guess I underestimated you." Fair play. It was faint, almost lost in the shuffle, but to Vargas, it felt like a quiet acknowledgement of her redemption, not from anyone else, but from the doubt she had silently battled every day in a profession that tolerated no weakness. In that moment, the lieutenant understood something profound. The true climax of a career in special operations wasn't the missions or medals, it was the ability to stand firm, to assert competence without arrogance, and to earn respect in a world that constantly tested both. She had faced the skepticism, the humor-laden tests, and even the subtle undermining of tradition, and emerged not just recognized, but indispensable. And as the officers filed out, Keaton's final glance at her said it all: some positions weren't handed down, they were proven in moments like these.